Since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the number of HIV cases among Russian military personnel has increased by 2,000%. According to a new report from the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, the sharp increase is due both to conditions on the front lines, unprotected sex among soldiers, and drug use, and to the policies of the Russian government, which, under the guise of protecting traditional values, has increased pressure on prevention and education organizations fighting HIV. According to the foundation, by the end of 2022, the number of cases in the army had increased 13 times compared to the pre-war level, and by the end of 2024, 20 times. Experts warn the demographic and economic consequences of the outbreak will be felt for decades and may be even more devastating than the consequences of the invasion of Ukraine. The report also points to the generally poor HIV situation in Russia. Since 2022, the country has consistently ranked among the world's top 5 in terms of new infections, behind only South Africa, Mozambique, Nigeria, and India. In 2021, Russia accounted for 3.9% of all new HIV cases worldwide, more than Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, or Kenya. There are no objective reasons why the HIV rate is decreasing worldwide but continues to grow in Russia. This is due exclusively to political decisions, analysts at the Carnegie Endowment emphasize. As an example, they cite the Kremlin's actions against organizations involved in HIV prevention. Thus, on April the 3rd, the Russian Prosecutor General's office declared the activities of the Elton John AIDS Foundation, a charitable organization founded by British musician Elton John that deals with treatment, information, and expanding access to medical care in the field of HIV/AIDS, undesirable. The reason was allegedly the promotion of non-traditional sexual relations. The organization, founded in 1992 and operating in more than 90 countries, aims to combat HIV stigma, protect LGBTQ+ people, and end the AIDS epidemic. Russian authorities, however, accused the foundation of promoting Western family models and gender reassignment. According to the Central Research Institute of Epidemiology of Rospotrebzadno, by the fall of 2022, HIV was diagnosed in 1% of the Russian population, that is about 1.5 million people. Russia has achieved rather sad successes, up to 1.5 million infected. This is 1% of the population, said the head of the Department of Epidemiology and Prevention of AIDS, Vadim Pokrovsky. His forecast is disappointing. By 2030, the number of new infections could reach 660,000. In the age group from 15 to 49 years, the infection rate in Russia is 1.5%. This is higher than in most African countries. For example, in Ethiopia, it is 0.9%. In Congo, 0.7%. In Nigeria, 1.3%. Russia is ahead of European countries in this indicator by 3 to 15 times. In Germany, for example, HIV is detected in 0.1% of the population aged 15 to 49. In Italy, 0.2%. In Spain, 0.4%. And in Portugal, 0.5%.
In a warning to Russia, President Donald Trump said Friday he's ordering the repositioning of 2 U.S. nuclear submarines because of a threat from the country's former president Dmitry Medvedev. According to Associated Press, speaking to reporters on the White House South Lawn Friday evening, Trump said, "A threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate. So I have to be very careful," Trump said, adding, "We're going to protect our people." Trump posted on his social media site earlier in the day that based on the highly provocative statements from Medvedev, he had ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that. It wasn't immediately clear what impact Trump's order would have on U.S. nuclear subs, which are routinely on patrol in the world's hotspots, but it comes at a delicate moment in the Trump administration's relations with Moscow.
We have a great relationship.
Where are the submarines being deployed? The nuclear submarines?
Say it?
Where are being deployed the nuclear submarines?
Oh yeah, well we had to do that. We just have to be careful. And a threat was made and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people. A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people.
Mr.
President, can you give us any more information on the nuclear subs? And what did Medvedev say to you that made you really mad?
Well, you just have to read what he said. He was talking about nuclear. When you talk about nuclear, we have to be prepared, and we're totally prepared.
Did you talk to Steve Witkoff today from his journey to Gaza? Did you talk to Steve Witkoff?
I did. I spoke to Steve Witkoff. He had a great meeting with a lot of people, and the primary meeting was on food. And he also had some other conversations that I'll tell you about later, but he had a meeting on getting the people fed, and that's what we want. And I'll see you later on. Well, I understand India no longer is going to be buying oil from Russia. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's a good step. We'll see what happens, okay?
How is your health?
U.S. President Donald Trump announced on Friday that he has ordered the deployment of 2 nuclear submarines to strategic locations in response to what he called highly provocative remarks made by former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. In the post on Truth Social, Trump wrote, "Based on the highly provocative statements of the former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, who is now the deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, I have ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions." Trump did not clarify where the 2 submarines were being deployed. Sometimes words carry weight and can spiral into unintended consequences. "I hope that's not the case here," Trump wrote. His announcement came after Medvedev's recent threats following Trump's ultimatum to Moscow to end the war in Ukraine, or face severe economic sanctions. Writing on X on Monday, Medvedev said Trump was playing the ultimatum game with Russia, stressing that each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war. On Thursday, Trump warned that Medvedev was entering a dangerous territory and described him as the failed former president of Russia, who thinks he's still president. It should be noted that Russia and the US possess the most nuclear arms in the world.